Hi, I'm Casey McKinnon.
And I'm Rudy Duchenne.
And we're from Galacticast.
Yep. And we like to test lab rats on
labrats.tv.
Hello and welcome to another edition of the show we call Lab Rats. I'm Andy Walker, in case you haven't figured that out by now, and this is your very first show.
I'm Sean Carruthers.
That's Sean Carruthers, my co-host, a longtime friend, and Mr. Hardware Guy.
I am the hardware guy.
But you know what? Tonight, you're not only the hardware guy, and we'll get to what you're going to do in a minute. But first, I want to suggest that perhaps also you're a cheesehead. Do you like this?
I've always wanted to go to Wisconsin.
Our dear friend Betsy at over TextMate, one of our sponsors, sent us cheeseheads. You like that? But not only that, and I'm going to wear mine the entire show, by the way.
Good.
They actually sent the cats their own little cheeseheads, too. So if we can, hey guys. Biff, come on. I don't know if they're going to come up. Anyway, if they come up, we'll attempt. We may attempt to put these on their heads. But anyway, little cheesehead, big cheesehead. So
super.
Today on the show, we're going to do something very, very serious, despite the hats.
Yeah, I'm glad we put the hats on for this one.
What are we going to do?
We're going to look at the new Core 2 processor from Intel.
Oh, fantastic.
Now, the Core 2 is a new dual-core processor. And the big selling point of this one, I feel really, really serious now that I'm seeing myself in the little LCD over there.
That's great.
The thing about this one is it's providing fantastic performance, and it's doing it at lower power consumption ratings. So
right.
I'm gonna
stop you right there.
Yeah.
Let's take a pause, and when we come back, we're going to get into the new Core 2 Duo microprocessor and why you need to know what is inside it and why it's great. And we're going to see more of Sean wearing cheese on his head.
I don't think so.
We'll be right back. Now, you took yours off during the break.
I did.
Why?
Well, you know, it actually says in here, the original Cheesehead Foamatic ink. They actually have a company designed specifically to create foam cheeseheads.
It's a huge industry in Okemos, Michigan.
No, I can't take this seriously.
All right, let's get the Core 2 Duo. What the hell was that?
I don't know.
Oh, well, doesn't matter. So
right.
we're going to talk about the Core 2, which is the replacement for what line of processors?
It is the replacement for the Pentium D. So we had actually done a little demo a while back where we took bananas and pudding and got them all over the place. I think we have some cats floating around here. We'll get the cheese heads on them eventually. So we did a demo where we actually took, did multiple work with multiple cores using these processors.
Basically, it was a Pentium D is a Pentium 4 with two processors that can do two tasks at once. You could basically process a Photoshop file, and you can maybe edit video with the other core on the Pentium.
All of these have actually come up through actually the Pentium D may have been. I'm pretty sure it was an extension of the Pentium 4 line. Okay, when you went into the Centrino line on the notebooks, you went on based not on the Pentium 4. There was a Pentium 4 mobile chip and then a Pentium 4 desktop chip.
Yes.
But when it went to Centrino, it actually pulled from the Pentium 3 line.
Yeah.
So it shortened the pipelines, just made everything more efficient.
Are you following this?
Yeah,
I'm not.
The nerds will be following this.
No, I know the nerds will, and that's good. But I mean, and herein lies the issue, guys, is that the average person is going to go out and buy a computer this holiday season, and they're going to go, I want a Pentium Core 2 Duo Mobile M. That's the problem I have. Anyway, let's straighten it all out for them. So we're going to go down the Core 2 line.
Right, and the Pentium 4 had a very good long run with Intel. It was in machines for many, many years. The problem is that people kept saying, okay, we'll go to 4 gigahertz and 5 gigahertz, but they hit the wall with the actual type of frequency that they could put in that. At a certain level, that it would just get too hot.
Right, they couldn't, basically the pathways in the chip couldn't be shrunk any further down, so they could put more transistors on the chip so they could make it faster, unfortunately.
Yeah,
so
if they shrunk it down more to get more speed out of it, then you'd have electrons jumping lanes, so they'd be in the wrong place in the processor.
be a 9-electron pileup on the super electronic inside the CPU. So.
Now, a number of years back, AMD said, okay, this megahertz game, we're out of it. And then they started giving them model numbers, and they were doing more with less megahertz. Definitely, the whole idea of gigahertz as the only thing that matters is gone. It's gone, yeah. So when you went to Centrino in the notebooks, they ramped back down on gigahertz. When they went to the Pentium D, they ramped back down on gigahertz. So when you had a 3 gigahertz Pentium 4, and you went to a Pentium D that was 2 gigahertz, 2.2, whatever, it actually was performing at about the same level.
Right, okay, makes sense.
Despite the fact that it had a much lower clock speed.
Right.
Now again, Pentium D was kind of hitting the wall. So they went back and they looked at the Pentium 3 line that made the Centrinos more efficient, and they said, we can do even better. So they took this team, it was a team based in Israel, and they built it up into the core line. So 2 cores, slower processor speeds again, more efficient, so they're able to do more.
So that came out of the Pentium M family tree.
Yes.
And then they went, oh, wait a second, so we're going to use this engineering, and we're going to make a mobile chip out of it, as well as a desktop chip out of that hierarchy, out of that.
Right. So
DNA.
yeah, it's usually they take the desktop processor and try to make it mobile.
Sure.
So you had the Pentium 4, and then they tried to make the Pentium 4 mobile out of that.
Sure.
So what they did in this case is they took a mobile chip, the Pentium M, and said, well, what can we do with this to bring it to the desktop?
Very cool.
So, and thus was born the whole core strategy.
Right, okay, very good. All right. So and Intel is pursuing this now. The whole core line is actually a big piece of their business. And in fact, if you're going to go buy a great, fantastic new desktop machine or laptop machine in late 2006 or 2007, that's going to be your #1 choice in the Intel world, correct?
Yes, they're definitely the fastest. They're not really all that expensive. At the top end, they are expensive, as processors always are at the bleeding edge. But there are lower end versions of the Core 2 that are actually quite affordable.
And what are the advantages of Core, for example, over previous generations? What's the upsell?
Speed. That's a big one right off the bat.
Of course, yeah.
And one of the nicest benefits of these new ones is because they're engineered on top of a laptop technology, is they actually consume less energy, first of all. If you care about consuming electricity and keeping that down, then that's one advantage. But what you do want to think about, if you're not necessarily particularly concerned about the bottom line of your electrical bill at the end of it, is the heat that's generated inside your computer. The lower the amount of energy that's consumed inside there, the less heat there'll be.
The cooler it is.
The cooler it'll be.
The more efficient it is.
The more efficient it is, and the less you'll need to hear that fan droning on all the time. So you're getting to the point where you can actually have a fan spinning fairly low and still get really good performance out of these machines.
Very good. That's fantastic. Okay, good. So now you've done some benchmarks on this, haven't you? What kind of research have you done on these guys?
Well, I took a system that was pretty much identical in every respect. I took the previous generation, the Pentium D Extreme Edition, I believe it was a 955, running at over 3 gigahertz. Phones for you. I think it's Wisconsin.
Hello? Hi, Dad. I'm on the air. Bye. No, go on. Sorry. Never mind. Just my dad.
So I took the 955, the Extreme Edition. It's like the fastest of the fast. It's dual core, hyper-threading. So it has theoretically four processors in there. 2 of them are virtual. But this is super fantastic. So then I thought to myself, okay, if I take the Core 2 and I get this running at a slower clock speed, let's say, how about 2.93 rather than 3 point whatever, and only 2 cores, how will that do? Well, I found out, I thought going into this, there's no way this can outperform the previous one I had running at full tilt.
Right.
And I was surprised. I was surprised, and you may be too. I get some slides up here.
Great. Let's have a look. Let's actually, it's going to be here on a great big fat screen.
Right, so I have three numbers here. The first one was the Pentium D 955 Extreme Edition running 3.46. That's the one that I had. So it was 3.5 gigahertz.
Yes.
The second one was a Core 2 running at 2.66.
So the red one is that?
The red one is the Pentium D.
Yeah.
The blue one is the Core 2 running at 2.66.
Okay.
And the green one is the Core 2 running at 2.93. That's the Extreme Edition X6800.
Right, okay.
Okay, so this was Sysmark. This is an overall
This is a benchmark that measures the performance of the 3 different chips, correct?
Right. So,
okay. So you're running a piece of software and testing the capabilities?
Right, and Sysmark tests overall system performance using real-world applications. So it's using Adobe Photoshop, it's using these other things. It's not synthetic.
Okay, good.
So we actually saw a 41% increase in performance in the lower end of those two chips over the previous high-end chip.
Right.
And then 53% on the first one in the overall. The overall score about 34 and 44% increase over that previous super fantastic $1,000 chip.
Wow, wow. So and that chip was what? Was the Pentium D?
That was the Pentium D,
and
Extreme Edition.
Right.
And these ones were the not so Extreme Edition, the 6700, and then the Extreme Edition 6800.
Right, wow. So basically a generation forward, in that line.
Right.
Right, using the core technology.
Using the core technology. So now going from Pentium D to the Core 2s again. PC Mark, same sort of deal. This one is a little bit more synthetic, but same sort of results. 27 and 32% increase in performance over that previous generation.
Wow.
And again, going into Sandra with the arithmetic benchmark, you see an amazing performance leap here with the ALU score. You got 66% increase and 77%. When you go into floating point, it actually sort of all evens out again. And I'm not 100% sure why that is.
What's floating point?
Floating point is how it calculates that floating point performance on the processor itself.
Okay. What's the key point here, though?
The key point is that despite the lower clock speed, I mean, 2.66 gigahertz is a lot lower than 3.46, and we're running with 2 cores as opposed to 4, and we're still able to outperform that. Now that's good in and of itself with just the speeds, but what I want to really show you is this, the watts consumed.
Oh wow, yeah.
Okay.
Well, and this is the big thing, right? This is the big seller. Core uses less power.
Right, even at full tilt.
Even at full tilt,
Even at full tilt. When the system is idle, my test bench ran 182 watts being consumed.
Right.
With the Core 2, it went down. It was 40% better performance.
Amazing.
On that.
Amazing.
Just in
Those guys in Israel are real smart.
Right, and when you went up to full tilt, running the benchmark, just cranking away at the numbers, it cranked up to 272 watts, but still 169 watts and 165 watts at full tilt, which is less wattage being consumed than the other system used while idle.
Now, do you have any idea how they managed to pull this off? Because to me, it seems like magic. I mean, how on earth did you get a chip engineered to be faster and yet use less power and run cooler?
It is definitely magical sounding. It's just they made the chip that much more efficient. It didn't have to send data all over the place quite so much. It just pulled it all back in, and just because of that, it didn't generate as much heat and didn't use as much power.
Amazing. So great reasons. I mean, actually, LabRat's proof that the core line of chips is what you want to consider when you're going out and buying a brand new computer. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, we'll have final thoughts.
It's Camtasia Studio, the fabulous screencast software from TechSmith. Record what's on your screen, narrate it, and share it online. Create demos, screencasts, training, and more. And rest assured, Camtasia Studio is made by wholesome programmers in Okemos, Michigan, the home of the hardiest geeks around.
Quick to learn, easy to use, it's Camtasia Studio.
Download your free trial and start screencasting today.
Well, that was a heck of a report that you put together. I mean, I'm really impressed with the core system, and again, as I said, good reason to go and shop for that this holiday season when you replace your computer, if you do that. Now, let's go and have a look at some pictures. We've asked you guys to send us pictures of you guys, your cats, your cars, things like that. So we got a couple. This is Daniel Baldwin with his friend Eileen, and he's based in Portland. Eileen is based here in Toronto, apparently. So this was on a visit to Portland. So thanks, Daniel, for sending that in. And Daniel's actually since become a volunteer on cyberwalker.com. Cheyenne sent us his brand new car. Love to see that. It's a Nissan, I think, 300ZX. Lovely vehicle. I've been thinking about buying one myself. We have to sell a few more LabRats ads before I can afford it. But anyway, we'll get there eventually. And, oh, look at this. Nice cat watching. See, all cats watch LabRats. Absolutely.
I believe this cat belongs to Andrew.
Very good. All right, well, send more pictures into feedback@labrats.tv. We'd love to see them. Try to keep them under a meg if you can, because we don't want to jam up our mailbox. We have a new survey on labrats.tv. Check that out. Fill that out. We want to know what you're all about, what you're interested in. And check out my new charity, littlegeeks.org. I'm trying to get 500 kids computers in a pilot project here in Toronto. And if that works, we're going to take it to other cities in Canada and the US. So check that out. Help us out.
And we'll also buy them cheese hats.
We'll also buy you cheese heads, that's right.
Okay, maybe not.
Thanks for watching this week. My name is Andy Walker.
I'm Sean Carruthers.
And we'll see you next time.
Nice hat.
Thanks, buddy.
Are you ready?
Oh, organ grinder.
I hit you a little too hard.